And we, as far as I know, we are live with this episode of hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel. It tells me we're live, so I hope that uh, means good things. But
Hi. Can
perfect.
you hear me now?
We hear
We
you.
got her.
We
Oh,
hear you,
good.
Soumia. That is great. So
Okay.
once again, this is Jeopardy Live Panel. I'm Andy Saunders. Let's get right into it because we don't have a lot of time off the top. First up, with the introductions, I'm going to start off with a three-time champion. Guess which one? Rachel Zoch from this past week, because we've got two three-time champs on our panel. Rachel, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Our second three-time champion on our panel, returning to Jeopardy Live panel, Tom Kelso. Tom won about almost twice as much as Rachel did a few years back, but thanks for joining us again, Tom.
Thank you. We're always glad to be here, Andy. Evening, Rachel.
And then finally, our last but not least on tonight's panel, we have got Soumia Meiyappan. She is a fellow Canadian, hopefully not the penultimate Canadian on Jeopardy, but thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's get right to it. Normally I start off with something like This Week in Jeopardy history, but not tonight because, Rachel, you've only got a little bit of time before you've got to leave. So I'm going to try to ask you as many questions pertinent to your games as I can. If you have any comments, by the way, you can leave them on the hashtag Jeopardy Live panel on Twitter, and if I like them, I will read them out. If I don't, well, I won't. So, no, Jonathan, we are not having another Jeopardy Live panel. Isn't broadcasting on YouTube issue, hopefully. Let's see. Okay, so yes, you were one of the challengers against David Bradley. He won 55,000 in two shows. Now, when you saw him on Monday, were you like, "Please don't be me. Please don't be me. Please don't be me," or were you hoping to kind of take him down?
I really didn't have a thought until they called my name. Going into the show, I thought, okay, if I win once, that would be just amazing. And I really didn't have a thought about, taking somebody out or whatever, but when I play to win, I guess. So I was very fortunate to squeak by in that first game.
So, Soumia, were you thinking that along the lines of "Please don't be me" when watching him, or?
um, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, yes, definitely it was a little intimidating. He was the most intimidating, I think, just because he was a returning champion. Um, I, I guess it was a lot easier to kind of interact with everybody else in a way. We were all kind of in the same boat, maybe all feeling a little bit of fear. But yeah, it was. I felt like the rehearsal round was kind of an even more even playing field. So it was kind of like, okay, if they call me, then they call me, and that's great. But
Well, I have to say that the practice session before my game with Ted and Soumia, Ted and I were sitting watching the practice and watching Soumia annihilate the other contestants, thinking, "Oh wow, we really don't want to go up against her."
thank you. There were good categories during the practice rounds. I liked those. So, but thanks for saying that.
Oh, you're welcome. No, we really were, and you're right. It really has everything to do with which categories you get and which mix of
Yeah,
people you get.
for sure.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I personally can't speak to that at this point, but that's a common theme amongst live panel panelists, I will say. Now, I believe you guys taped mid-January, around the 13th or 14th of the month. That was, I think, I was the week before the 000 game happened.
That's right.
Now I have to ask, because actually, when the 000 game happened, Kristen Sostville and I had a discussion, and Kristen thought that in a situation like yours, knowing of that 000 might spook a contestant into not wagering everything. So what I would like to know, Rachel, is were you aware of what was coming up in that 000 game? Did the contestant coordinators mention anything at any point throughout the day?
No, but I don't ever bet for nothing because you know, my last game I was left with $1. You never leave 0 on the board.
Okay, and obviously, Soumia, you had a different take on whether or not to leave 0 on the board, but
Yeah. Before I went for my taping, my sister actually referred me to the Final Wager website, and that's where I read about various situations, and not all of them stayed in my head, but this one particular one did, and I happened to be in it, find myself in it, and I kind of gathered from Keith Williams' analysis that you need to either bet it all or nothing, and so that's what I did. I just kind of followed those unofficial rules, and yeah, I was not aware of the 000 game. I mean, the contestant coordinators, I don't think they're allowed to tell us anything about games that have yet to air. So I think that's really on the onus of the third place person to kind of figure out, okay, kind of predict or assume that the top 2 players are going to battle it out and take each other out, and you know that they'll have a chance in that sense. So yeah.
well, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Well, no, I was just thinking, and this is back in 2002 when the lecterns were made out of rock, and we were glad to have that rock. But I remember one of the things I still remember is that one of the first things that they told us when it came to talking about gameplay in the green room was that if everybody winds up with 0, nobody advances. So have they stopped mentioning that? I have to, because that's stuck in my head, is because if there's a chance where all of us wind up with 0, I'm going to make sure that I have $1, which is about the only time that I wouldn't bet the house in that situation. But
I
they
don't think
didn't
they
mention
mentioned
that
that.
at all?
No,
I'm sorry?
I don't think so. But I remember in the audition, they said that they don't want ties. You know,
Right.
they really don't care for that kind of outcome. But
Yeah.
Well,
anything about 0.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with Rachel there. Yeah.
And I will say this: I think I have frustrated all the math heads who really go onto that Final Wager site, and because I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter. It's like, I can't believe she wagered that. That's so wrong, but it still worked. Hey.
It still worked, exactly.
well, as Keith said, you had the most amount of money at the end of the game, and that's what matters. And whether that's because you were the only one to get Final Jeopardy, or from savvy wagering, sometimes you got to go one way, sometimes you got to go the other. So, and you know what? A lot of those people that are chirping away at their keyboards, they don't have 3 wins under their belt. So now, in that Thursday game, Rachel, you had quite a run at the end of Double Jeopardy. What happened? Was that just your categories, or did you find the buzzer?
I don't remember, honestly. That game was so much fun, but I don't remember. And the buzzer's a huge part of it, because in my last game, they jacked up the air conditioning, and I was so cold I couldn't feel my fingers. So I was having trouble with the buzzer by the end there.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just thinking, okay, Nikki Peters wasn't quite done yet, so she came back and possessed Rachel for the second half of that game.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Now, I guess, now, speaking of the buzzer, I guess this is probably a good time to bring it up. Keith Williams actually came out with a 2-part interview with Fritz Holznagel this week regarding the buzzer. And one of the things that got brought up was, I guess, Teresa's buzzer strategy, because it looked like she had a 2-hand thing going. She was kind of holding it in one hand and then ringing in with her the index finger of the other. And there was some questions going on. There was a discussion. I think Donnie Edgman, Kea Chua, Keith Williams were involved in that. There was some question as to exactly how how much the contestant coordinators were frowning upon what Teresa was doing. Do you
I
happen to
think as
have
long
any
as
insight into that?
I think as long as you're not, like slapping it and making noise, that's really the only instruction I remember them prohibiting us, saying don't do that.
Okay, so like as long as you don't make noise with the trying to ring in, you should be okay.
Yeah,
So the way I do it is fairly unconventional because I don't use my thumb. I mean, that's not comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So you use your index finger?
Yeah, index.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that it's surprising because I think or at least anyone who's played I guess Quiz Bowl or Reach for the Top in high school, they would know, or everyone usually just rings and uses their thumb. But I would also say though that the index finger has been found by a lot of people to be a really good idea. I guess yourself, you found that good, Rachel. I think Carl Coriat, when he put his stuff together back in the mid-90s, he was also team index finger. But now, you were a thumb buzzer, right, Soumia?
That's right, yeah. One thing that Rachel and I have in common, though, with the buzzer, I noticed, is we like to keep it low behind the podium so no one could really see us ringing in. I was more comfortable that way. I don't want people to see me struggling with the buzzer. I like to keep it behind the podium.
Did you get questions about that?
What's that?
Did you get questions about that? I had a few people ask me, why are you hiding? Why are you
hiding? No one seemed to comment on that. It was just I was more comfortable that way. Yeah. But I didn't get any.
Although everybody has their own style, I kind of held mine out to the side, almost like a sword or whatever. And the only person I saw any commentary about buzzer this week was that poor fellow in one of the games at the middle podium who it looked like he was trying to stab himself with the buzzer whenever he was ringing in because he would visibly lean forward. And it's like, I guess the reflex works for you, but all I kept thinking about the buzzer is that don't waste the energy, focus on everything else. Just get your finger moving on that button instead of winding up.
Yeah,
some people don't doing that.
To be honest, I think that's a good point. I mean, yes, the timing may work for you, but there's a lot of wasted energy in there, and the more moving parts you have, the less repeatable your action. So I guess that's. But again, I mean, if he wasn't going 0 for the buzzer, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked for him, and he definitely rang in, and yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, you guys probably didn't see this on Sports Jeopardy this week, but one of the poor contestants, not Vinny, but Hoon, I think his name was, but he was shut out the entire Double Jeopardy round because his two competitors were just that strong on the buzzer that he did not even get a chance to ring it. So, what was I going to ask next? Oh yes, I was looking back through the numbers. You only found a couple of daily doubles in your run there, Rachel.
Yes, and they were crappy.
yeah. So I'm guessing you kind of wish you'd more, right?
Yes. You know what I'm really disappointed about was that I was beaten to the buzzer on the Texas questions on Texas Independence Day, which is March 2nd, which is when that game aired. And I felt that was one reason I tweeted that as a native Texan who has been through umpteen Texas history classes required by law, I knew those answers.
See, that would be one reason to hold, if you were comfortable to do so, hold your buzzer where you could see it so they could at least see you trying to ring in on the question.
True. That's true.
So I'm going to ask the both of you this at this point. It's usually a little bit early for me to ask this question, but hey, you guys were both in the studio between the Wednesday and Thursday episodes, so I get to ask the question. It is the standing Jeopardy live panel question, as first asked by Ben Ingram. What did you guys have for lunch in the Sony commissary?
A salad and a fancy naked juice drink.
Same, yeah, I think I had the same. Maybe it was water and a cookie. Yeah, I just felt it was didn't have much of an appetite at that point. I mean, Rachel had just won 2 games, and I was still sitting there wondering when am I going to go on. And yeah, I felt like getting something else would have taken too long, and yeah, so salad seemed like the easiest choice, and I was able to keep it down.
So did they? Did the cashier at the end of give you a hard time, or so this is all you're going to get, sort of thing, or?
No, I didn't think so.
The producers and the contestant coordinators did kind of warn us away from some things that they thought either took too long or just were bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like the most popular answer, by the way, is in fact salad. There haven't been too many people who have said something other than salad recently. So
well, we got to give Soumia her daredevil props. She also had a cookie.
Oh, good point. Yes.
How the cookie came about, that was a last-minute decision, because I think we got about $12 to spend,
Yes.
and salad was pay by weight. So when I got to the cashier, they said, "Oh, it's about $4 or $5," and I thought, okay, I have another $7 to spend from Sony. Might as well go big and have some cookies to share with the others.
So I'm gonna ask kind of what was your thought process on Thursday's Final Jeopardy? I know you got it, Rachel, but
You're asking me, I guess.
well, both of you, but I mean, how quickly did you come up with it, Rachel?
The answer?
Yes.
Oh, I as soon as the clue was read, I knew that answer. I have a former colleague who earned a master's degree at Old Dominion University in Virginia, and I live near the Port of Houston, so I see a lot of Old Dominion Freight Lines trucks.
Okay.
And I used to go visit a history professor friend of mine in Quantico, Virginia. So somewhere from 3 different places, I had that locked into my brain.
Yeah.
That was the only one I was really, really secure on.
And I mean, you stuck on the Jamestown colony there, Soumia, and
Yeah, so I guess my thought process, and later I found out, I was relieved to see I wasn't the only one who would have chosen that response. I guess I got lost in the wording of the clue, that it didn't seem as clear to me that they were looking for a state. So I just thought to myself, okay, and His Majesty was also in the clue, so I thought they were looking at a male monarch at the time, and I was thinking of King James, and Jamestown came to my mind. So.
That's where, that's, to be honest, when I was looking at that clue, I mean, I knew of Old Dominion University because they're good enough in basketball to make the NCAA tournament from time to time. But I didn't know what state it was in, and I thought, well, Virginia is a Commonwealth. Virginia is one of the Commonwealths now. So I kind of stopped thinking about Virginia and went to the other states named after, male monarchs like Georgia and the Carolinas. So now looking at Mark Barrett's awesome poll on JBoard, yeah, I mean, let's see, 13% on Jamestown itself. So that's including, and I don't think Keith Williams has voted yet because he put Jamestown down on the on his video. So
And I'm assuming these are all American voters because
Well,
I have to admit I wasn't too thrilled when Alex said she's probably at a disadvantage because she's from Canada, and I thought, hey, come on, like, at least I was in the right vicinity, and yeah, Jamestown's in Virginia, so
Yeah, the right state for sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I
I
was
mean,
disappointed that Alex didn't know Back in Black. I mean, come on.
I know. I'm
now
sorry.
that was I would say that was the biggest surprise of the week for me out of him. That being said, and I don't know if I can have confirmation on this, but somebody on J-Board mentioned that he once got In Excess mixed up with the Inks. And
Ooh.
now I'm not entirely sure if that's true or if it's urban legend, but I had a chuck. I mean, if it's true, it makes, Back in Black makes sense. But
As long as he doesn't think Men at Work is the Australian Employment Bureau.
that is, wow, okay. Oh, man, yeah. Dear, yeah. So I guess my next question, one more before because I think you do have to go pretty soon, Rachel. When did you audition?
Late June. I auditioned in Kansas City in June.
Okay, so end of June. Okay. Yeah, that makes, to be honest, I think that makes sense because I think even at my audition in Kansas City in early July, there were some people from Texas, so I think you might have been the closest one. That might have been the closest one to you. So
It was.
yeah, and so you end of June got the call late December then.
I believe it was right before Thanksgiving.
Okay, right before
I
Thanksgiving.
had just accepted a new job, so I had to call them really quick to make sure they were okay with me being gone so early in my tenure.
And obviously they seem to be okay with, oh yeah, she's going to be on Jeopardy. This could be good publicity for us.
Right.
Yes. So, okay, and I mean, Soumia, you were October in Boston, correct?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It was actually my second audition. I had auditioned for the first time back in 2009, and I chose in New York City at the time because it was the closest to Toronto. This time around, when I registered, I thought, let me try a different city, and went with Boston, which is a place I've been to before and really liked, and had my sister come with me, and I was thrilled to get the call about a little less than 2 months later, like Rachel, early December. Yeah.
Nice. So a very short period in the contestant pool then.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even yeah, go on.
Sorry, no, you go. Please go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to mention, even though I felt good at the audition in Boston, I was already thinking, if they don't call me, I was already trying to pick where would my next audition be, like where could it be? Like where else do I want to visit in the States, maybe Atlanta or Kansas City, for the barbecue. So.
Yeah.
I'm from Texas. It's overrated. Come eat ours.
Oh boy.
That's right, Kansas City. I threw it down.
To Fort Worth.
Okay, well.
It's like an inner tube.
Well, it's funny. I was in Kansas City for about a day and a half around my audition, and actually college did 2.5 days, and I did not have the barbecue either. So I didn't think it was overrated. There were some other issues at play, but no, I did not have the barbecue. So my next time in that city, I am going to actually make an effort to get at the barbecue, but just I'm not going to say which one I prefer, whether Kansas City or Texas, but.
Well, we have different kinds. There's such a huge state. We've got East Texas, West Texas, Central Texas. It's all a little different.
That actually kind of makes sense to me. And so I'm just going to check the hashtag here to see if... we do have some... Okay. We have a question here on the hashtag from David Kendall. for Soumia. Do you think you did anything different from your first audition that helps you get the call a second time, or the second time around?
That's a great question. I mean, the two auditions were about 6 years apart. I felt I was hopefully 6 years smarter. And I think having that first audition under my belt really helps with the confidence. Going in the first time around, I felt I knew I was nervous, and I also didn't really know what to expect, what I was getting into. And so I knew, you do another test, and then you have the mock games, and I was able to prepare for the second audition a lot better, especially with my sister. She was kind of prepping me. We would rewatch games and have the pen to have a clicky pen to kind of play along with. I think that was the big difference, because practicing for my audition in 2009, I don't think I did any of that. I wasn't even aware to do that. So, yeah.
Now, how many times did you audition, Rachel?
Just the one. I was very, very fortunate.
Tom, I don't know if did I ask you this the last time you came on, your audition history?
I auditioned 5 times before I finally got picked, and I had done it twice in New York, twice in Washington, and when I went to it in Chicago, when I lived there, I was sort of like, okay, this is like my last shot. I'm going to stop chasing this if I can't get into this. And that's when it worked. Auditioned in March, called in May, shot in June, and it was just that fast. But no, that's 5 times. So anybody that ever was wondering out there, oh yeah, keep banging at it. Of course, Rachel hits it on the first times, and that's also good. But
well, I think it's probably just like the show. It's who's there at the time and what the questions that you get might be. There's a guy in my group that I would be shocked if he didn't get the call, because he had a signed postcard from Alex Trebek before they had the kids tournament, where he'd written a letter to say, hey, you should really have kids Jeopardy. And they didn't yet. Alex Trebek wrote him a postcard that said, what a great idea, thanks. He still has the postcard.
Wow. That might be in his Q&A when he gets on the show, I guess.
Exactly.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's something that I wanted to know. You've seen the Twitter tag, I'm assuming, with the contestant stories on it.
Yes.
What exactly did you think? That's something I was able to avoid because back in the Stone Age we didn't have Twitter. But what do you think about that tag? Because sometimes I've seen that I wondered, it's almost snarking on the contestants a little bit. It's not easy.
It is. It absolutely is. But
now, Tom, you realize it's run by somebody who's actually been on the show, that Cool Jep Stories, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's run by a Kids Week alum. Pardon me?
He's not on the show tonight, is he?
No. Oh no, I do not run. No. I do not run Cool Jep Stories. But the guy who runs it has been actually on Jeopardy. He's a Jeopardy alum, a Kids Week alum from early 2000s, and yeah. He's actually been on Live Panel too. But basically, I brought him on because of Cool Jep Stories. So
I have to say, nothing makes you feel boring like being asked to write down a dozen interesting stories about yourself.
You're not the first person to say that. And now, did Alex kind of stick to the card with you guys then?
He did, but he, like in the case of Titi Alalima, he had this really interesting story about his necklace and the Samoan heritage, and Alex picked something else off the card.
I remember when we practiced, rehearsed in the green room. Titi described just that same story Rachel mentioned. I think about even coming from royalty, something like that. Yeah, so that would have been really cool to hear about. So I mean, whatever they discussed was also pretty cool. I think it had to do with his job, and yeah, that was pretty neat. But No, I was really happy with that the fact that he picked what we indicated as our preference, because I remember back at my audition in Boston, Glenn was leading my audition, and he had said, you know, sometimes Alex, he might read something that wasn't even one of your stories, and you just kind of have to stand there and say, that's right, Alex, and kind of talk off the cuff. Thankfully, that didn't happen to any of us. So.
Now, another question on the hashtag. Soumia, did you happen to bring any good luck charms with you?
That's hilarious. That's a great question. I guess I had a few. I have. I didn't get to wear it on my dress that I wore to the show, but it was on my jacket. I'm wearing it right now. It's like a little tiny maple leaf, a red maple leaf for Canada. I have a really small baby doll. I hope people don't think that's weird. It's just a little doll, that's taken her around to my auditions and stuff, and that's been very helpful. And yeah, I can't think of anything else. Yeah.
Okay. So in general, it seems like the contestants kind of went 4 for 15 in Final Jeopardy this week. Now, was this just a case of it just not happening to hit people's strengths this week, or genuinely difficult questions? I mean, how did you guys do on the ones you weren't actually playing? Did you do better in the audience than on stage?
I guess I could answer because Rachel was in most of our games.
Well, I mean, Rachel can speak to Monday, so...
That's true.
I don't remember.
Monday was the world leaders, and I did not get that. No.
No, I don't think
No, that... I think it was Bolivia, and I think I guessed Uruguay. I would have guessed Uruguay because
yes,
yeah.
It was one of the Guays that I guessed.
Yes.
At home, my guess was Peru, so...
Makes sense. That's logical, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuesdays was, it's interesting, when people ask me what's your least favorite category, and I often say, not least favorite, but just most difficult, would probably be poetry, and that came up on Rachel's game, I think Tuesday's game. And I would have actually gotten that, total guess with T.S. Eliot, but I would have gotten that.
From that, I think that was just a matter of, well, which American poet moved to the States, or moved to England, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well,
and
a
then,
lot of people were saying they thought it was Robert Frost, and Robert Frost.
Oh, that came across my mind too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carl Sandburg is the only firmly Midwestern poet that I knew, but my mom went with me, and she was an English teacher, and she was very smug about, oh, well, I knew that one.
But David also had the same response as you, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We both guessed Carl Sandburg.
That's right.
It's famously Midwestern, but yeah, we were all fooled by T.S. Eliot.
Wednesday was a doozy. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what I would have guessed for that one. But.
Well, I mean, that's one of those things, and it's weird. A lot of the state capitals ones are difficult that way, because that hinged around you either know the fact or you are not getting anywhere close to it.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, 30 seconds is not enough for that question. I think. I think. 1787, and I think that was the year. And of course, there are a few things. I mean, when Alex said you got to think small, I wasn't even considering that. But one guy got it right. I mean, good for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Yeah.
Well, that one was less about. I don't know. I thought it was less about the state capital than it was about McDonald's.
Yeah. It was simply framed around state capitals, but.
Yes.
I mean, I thought Juneau was perfectly good, because the only thing I could think of is, well, what's the hardest state capital to get to? And it's like, well, Juneau doesn't even have a road that leads into it. Everything has to be flown or shipped by boat. So
that's true.
1987, yeah, Russians might have been around there then. And I don't have
Well, it was
anything.
settled,
So,
but it certainly wasn't the capital at the time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, apparently not. But it's like sometimes when you're up there with only 30 seconds, it's sort of like, wow, okay. Montpelier would have never
Yeah.
thought of that one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-uh.
So let's see here. Let's see. Well, Natasha is the champion going into next week. Let me just throw this out to the three of you and also to anyone tuning in on the hashtag. I'm going to set an over-under line on the length of her run at 2.5 games. What do you think, over or under?
Oh. I know she's been studying a lot, so I think if she hits the right categories, she could be there a while.
I don't
So
like
you don't like to make you don't like these types of questions.
So you said, sorry, say that again. So she's already won one.
She's already won one.
Yes.
Basically, my question is, do you think she will win Monday and Tuesday?
Monday and Tuesday. I think it's very possible. I think it's very possible. She was quite good in the practice round as well, and yeah, I think so. I mean, I have no idea who she's going up against. I actually know my friend Victor will be on Friday, and of course he's sworn to see Chris asking.
Yeah.
So.
Now, what do you think, Tom?
Well, no, I was pretty impressed by watching her play on Friday. That was a very impressive game. I told her that. And to put it in terms of the NCAA tournament, she's definitely not on the bubble. And I would definitely go with the over on this. I think that we could see her for at least 2 more games very easily.
To be honest, I think there are some people watching tonight, or who will be watching, who are like, Andy, I'm glad you didn't set that over under at 3.5, but because I think 2.5 makes for a much more. Pardon me.
One of them is Soumia's friend, right? You said he was playing on.
Well, he's playing on Victor Ferreira. He's playing on Friday, so.
Friday, okay. Well,
yes.
If she gets to Victor, then all good.
yeah. If she gets to Victor, that might be very interesting, and I'd be very happy to see that. It's almost like though, with you and Victor and a couple of others who have been on recently, I don't know if you guys remember the Brandeis live panel, but geesh, we might be able to get a McMaster live panel together. The way there have been a lot of McMaster University alumni on the show the last 12 months, so.
There must be something in the water.
I guess, yeah. So do you think you and Victor will be the last Canadians on the show?
I don't think so, and I hope not. Yeah, because I mean, it's only March, and there are still plenty of Canadian contestants, I'm sure, in the pool, including yourself, Andy. And I think the season goes on till the end of July, so there's still plenty of time. So best of luck to all the Canadians in the pool. And I think the show knows, and again, I don't know who's at fault here. I'm not really quite sure on the specifics, but I think it's something that can be resolved, at least hopefully by next year, the next test.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think it's Sony covering their rear end for they were hacked early last year, and I think they just want to make sure they don't run afoul of the Canadian privacy laws.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it, and I mean, I know some people who were at auditions even yesterday, and they brought up the Canadian thing, and they are still working on it. So I am personally very confident they'll have it fixed in time for the 2017 online test. And I mean, I know that when I've gone on radio interviews, that's the same thing I've said to the interviewers, that I really think that they'll have it fixed, and that, you know, everyone will be wondering why there was such a fuss. Even though it came up on this hour as 22 minutes this week, but they for those of you who didn't see it, I haven't actually watched it yet, but I believe it hinges on our spelling of color. That's how they figured out, oh wait, you're Canadian, you can't be here. But
Well, but then again, if Donald Trump winds up winning the election, Jeopardy might be moving to Canada along with the rest of us.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I hear Winnipeg is nice. Dave Kendall keeps telling me how nice Winnipeg is.
The only thing, Tom, I know you've made a number of disparaging remarks over the years about our football league. So you realize you'll have to become a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan if you move up here.
Well, just shrink the field down to a normal size, and we can do it.
For those of you who don't know, Tom and I have been in the same fantasy football league as well for over a decade now, and every time I meet him, he makes disparaging remarks about how his team had to travel 110 yards that week. So, and
since my team, I'm from Baltimore. My team's named after the Colt marching band. If you have to go 110 yards in Toronto in the open air in November, I mean, that's not real good for a band. They're whispering to the instruments and things like that.
Ah, dear. So,
neither of us got to brag much, but.
So, coming up actually this week on daytime Jeopardy. Normally I don't go back a year, but I'm going back exactly 1 year for this week in Jeopardy history, tying it back into daytime. Kristen Sauceville, her run begins on daytime on Wednesday, which means Thursday is the infamous single-player Final Jeopardy she had. And that seemed to be the start of the kind of modern era of Jeopardy virality, where it seemed like the show could be liable to go viral at any point. That was the first kind of big articles where, oh my God, there was one player in Final Jeopardy, and then they realized, oh wait, we can get clicks by talking about this sort of thing. And it seems like every time someone misses a sports question now, there's 20 articles about it. So, how do you guys feel, as former contestants, about how the popular internet press handles Jeopardy these days?
I thought it was rather telling that I was left out of the abuse hurled at the two guys for not getting the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Well, I thought the Golden State question was actually interesting because unless you're a follower of the NBA, that name does not jump out at you.
Right.
I mean, it is, it's like you're saying San Francisco. San Francisco what? Or, you see a Golden Bridge, that's your first thought. San Francisco, maybe Oakland. You're not thinking Golden State because unless you actually pay enough attention to the NBA to realize that they actually call their Oakland team that. So I thought it was a little much that they were going after it, but once again, ESPN seemed to lead the way in having fun at Jeopardy people's expense. Considering all the times I've seen various blunders on ESPN, I'm almost ready to start a flame war with them because if they keep coming after our folks, okay, come on. We got smart people here. We got Rachel. We got Soumia. You got Andy Saunders. You guys, you got Scott Van Pelt.
I come from the land of the Rockets, the Mavs, and the Spurs. I don't know anything about California sports teams.
Though to be honest with you, I think I think the Warriors are probably the only team who can handle who can probably beat the Spurs this year. So
That's saying something.
yeah.
Then
Not
again,
if the Raptors get there first.
Well, the way the playoffs work, we're gonna see Spurs and Warriors before we see Warriors and Raptors. So
it's funny though. I was at a trivia contest in New York here last night. The fellow that hosted it from Toronto, his name's Tony Hightower. If you ever come by New York, he runs an excellent series of games. But Tony's from Toronto, and during the winter, it's always unfortunately, because he grew up there, he roots for the Maple Leafs, which is of self-flagellation. But somebody was kidding him about it last night. He said, "Well, you know what? I'm starting to follow the Raptors now. Okay, give me a break."
I've so enjoyed our conversation. I've got to run. I'm really sorry.
Okay, that's not a problem.
Thank
you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, and congratulations on your 3 wins, Rachel.
Thank you.
So do you think you'll have a shot? Do you think we'll see you again in the Tournament of Champions? Do you like your chances, or not really?
I hope so. I would love to play again, even just once. So that would be a lot of fun. I'm planning another trip overseas to celebrate, but also because I just wanted to go back to Scotland. So I'm hoping that doesn't interfere in case I am fortunate enough to be called back.
Well, let's hope it doesn't. And that we get a chance to see you on again. And I mean, the way this season's been going, it's quite possible that we'll see a lot of 3-time champs in the TOC. So
it's looking that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, and good night.
Okay, I got a couple more things I do want to talk about here on Live Panel. So if Rachel goes, that's fine. But I know that I just want to also mention. Last week I brought up on the panel that Pat Cavanaugh was 5-0 in the Jeopardy Live Panel private rundle that Carrie Green and I have been running. Well, guess what? She still hasn't lost. She is now 10-0 in much to your chagrin, Tom.
All of our chagrins. That woman's unbelievable. She's doing great.
Yep, Pat Cavanaugh, 10-0 right now. As far as I know, we've got some upcoming episodes. I'm going to share the upcoming episodes. I believe she will be making her Jeopardy Live Panel, technically her debut, when we go on location on March 21st at 9 p.m. We also have a regular panel coming up next Sunday. But as far as I know, Pat will be joining us when I go on location, making her Jeopardy Live Panel debut. And then we'll all get to be like, yes. Well, let's just hope she's not like 20-0 when we get to that point. That's for sure. But
I am no longer saying anything to incur the wrath of Pat.
Well, she has been on it. I mean, to be honest, I would say, Tom, you haven't been getting the greatest of luck. I mean, we had our 9-6 tie on Tuesday, so where I think either one of us would have beaten anyone else in the rundle that day. So
that's how that works. I mean, we just both got our wheelhouse questions, and there are days when I won 6-4, and days when I've lost 8-5. So it's that's what makes defense. What do we call it? Defense is the temptress. The temptress god of Limited League. Every time you think you've got it figured out, she shows you that there's another trick you haven't learned yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I gave up an 8-4 in my regular game this week. That takes skill. Giving up an 8-4, that takes skill. How have you been finding Learned League so far?
Me?
Yes.
I just joined. The hilarious thing. So Victor had referred me. So I just started, and I guess I missed the first day, so I accidentally forfeited that game. So apologies to whoever I played against. Um, it's tricky. It's tricky. I think Friday's game had the least difficult questions, I guess you could say, for me. Yeah, but it's exciting. It's kind of something to look forward to. You know, when you wake up, you have those questions in your email, and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's so impressive when you look at you can kind of look up past Jeopardy contestants, and you know, most of them are in that A division. I'm still all the way at the bottom of R.
There are some interesting people in the lower levels, though. One of my favorite things is that Lebet M happens to be in a C level Rundle. Um, if you're familiar with a show called The Chase at all, they show
No,
that up. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Lebet M. He is known as the Beast on the Chase, and yes, he is a sea rundler. And I believe, well, I know, I'm just going to check to see if she is still involved. But of course, the governess, Frosty Knickers, Anne Hegarty, also has done some Learned League. Still is. Well, Anne Hegarty is an A rundler over in Meridian, but. I mean,
I'm not at all surprised.
yes.
I'm sure a couple of folks forfeited rather than face having to play Anne.
Hey, I would be very happy to play any celebrity like that, but okay, so I guess this is about the time where I ask if there are any random questions for anyone else on the panel, because I have a bunch of check marks by my note paper, meaning I have gone through all the stuff that I've got. I kind of wanted to go through. Oh, yes, sorry, forgot one thing. I want to give a shout out to Fred Vaughn, who's probably not watching this right now, but he will later. Apparently, he sent me his regrets. For either coming on or just watching tonight, but apparently he's in Florida this week watching spring training, while I get to deal with temperatures in the mid-30s. So it would be nice. I would be very happy to be able to watch spring training baseball right now. That's for sure. But I should say, any random questions between panelists, I guess, if you have anything you'd like to ask, either of you?
no, I can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
I did
Tom,
want to-
anything for you?
Well, I did want to say that that this week I was very happy to see that, and this goes to Soumia and a lot. I was glad to see people that seemed to be enjoying the game, enjoying being there. We get a lot of us get a reputation for being either dour and dull or hyper focused on competition, as a couple of unfortunate contestants have been told that they were too intense. But it was good to see a group of people that were just relaxing and enjoying the game and enjoying the experience of being there. And I just wanted to say that I thoroughly enjoyed watching you play, and it's just the bad luck of fate that you're not on further. So, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Though it might have been interesting to see Soumia and Victor in the same taping group next week had that happen.
I know. Yeah.
Because
Fridays.
Yeah, sure. Now, oh wait, no, you auditioned in Boston because it was Rachel who said she auditioned in Kansas City.
Yes.
Where David Kendall also auditioned. So I've got a kind of vested interest in hoping that Dave gets on the show sometime, as well as Andy, because I want to see these people that I keep talking to actually on the television.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. By the way, a couple of things I do want to announce. I don't know if, in case anyone happened to miss it on the website, this spring and summer I'm going to be doing a couple of a few articles, between 18 and 20 on baseball history, because this is my first book, obviously, As Bad as It Gets. It's about the 1916 Philadelphia Athletics baseball team. They went 36 and 117. And my second book is coming out in a few months. It's about the 43 most historically significant baseball games of all time, and in fact, my co-author John Robertson and I, it's it's titled "The Games That Changed Baseball." Again, it's from McFarland, and they're our publisher, and basically rewrote like over 60 chapters, and then we cut it down. Then we're like, this is like 200,000 words. We need to cut this down to size a bit. And so before we submitted the manuscript to McFarland, we cut it down to 42. A 43rd game ended up in it because there was a game where we felt after we submitted, but that our publisher thought you should add this, so we did. And so we've got 19 chapters of a book that aren't going to be in the book. So this spring and summer over on the website, the Jeopardy Fan, I'll be releasing those kind of, one a week sort of thing. And I hope you guys enjoy that.
Well, now I gotta ask, what's number 44? Give us
what's number 44? Let me look, because when we cut, we actually put them in order, because we weren't entirely sure what order how many we were going to use. But yes, the last game out was we decided that the game in which Babe Ruth hit his 60th home run in 1927 was kind of was the last one out. So had there been 44, we would have put that one in, because we have in our book, we do have Roger Maris's 61st home run, Mark McGwire's 62nd, Hank Aaron's 715, Barry Bonds' 756. All of those made it in, but we decided to take out Babe Ruth's 60th home run.
Okay.
So that will be one. Other ones include the. Then this is probably going to be the one that I'm leading off with, because it is Vin Scully's final season as Dodgers announcer. But I'm going to be leading off with Vin Scully's first game as an announcer, as a television baseball announcer with the Dodgers. So that's what we're going to go with that. Any other questions? I should probably check the hashtag once again. Yes, from @TheBigPahu, Matt P. Finally, a face to the name of the Kelso T I keep seeing on the Metro leaderboards. And then good luck to both of us. I'm not quite sure what his name is on Learned League, but I'm.
Well, right now, I don't have my standings up at the moment, but I recognize the name. We ought to get him on the show sometime so I can see what he looks like now.
Let's see.
Just a thought.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not quite sure where he is, but yeah, that sounds like an excellent idea. I'll be in touch with you, Matt. Be prepared to talk Jeopardy. Any other questions at this point? I hear crickets, so
No.
Okay.
Congratulations on your second book.
Thank you. Yeah, it's coming. We're not quite sure when it's going to actually get published. Probably. My guess. Well, the website says spring summer 2016. So that means my guess probably sometime in the middle of the baseball season, which would be nice. We had. From my recollection of book one, it's probably going to be a couple of months after the proofs arrive, because from there we, the final proofreading, prepare the index, and So that it'll probably be a couple of months before we see it, but I'm confident it will come out before the end of the baseball season, which is kind of why I am starting to release the unpublished chapters or the unsubmitted chapters even. So
I'm sure it'll be really helpful for prospective Jeopardy contestants. I think it would have been great for me. I mean, not that baseball came up in any in my game or in my audition, but it's always good to know.
Some of the more important moments in baseball history.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite chapter is the one where we talk about the last player, Bob Montgomery, in 1970. In 1979, he was the last player to bat without a batting helmet.
I did not know it was that recent.
Yes, they instituted the rule in the early 70s, and he was grandfathered because he was already playing at that point. He had about 20 games under his belt as the Red Sox backup catcher, but he was the last person to actually wear a not wear a batting helmet when batting.
Wow, that's actually amazing when you think about Carl Mays back in 1920.
Yes, that game is in our book.
Of course,
yes, yeah.
Of course, that one is. Got killed by a pitch during a game.
That's correct. Yes. Ray Chapman was killed by the Carl Mays pitch, and.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Didn't mean to kill Carl too early.
But for whatever reason, it took over 70 years before over 50 years before they actually put in a rule stipulating batters had to wear helmets. And so for everyone here on Jeopardy Live panel, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. Also to you guys for taking part on tonight's panel. Next week's panel, assuming he doesn't have some, there's a good chance he may have a work commitments, but Victor Ferreira is hopefully going to be able to join us next week after talking about his appearance, or hopefully appearances, just one at the start to start with, hopefully. I believe there are a couple, or at least one other person from next week's contestants I already have lined up as well. I won't say who that is until the contestants get announced. Also joining us, because I mentioned this, Kristen Sausville will be on next week's panel, hopefully as well, talking kind of 1 year out, kind of how things have changed, how things have been for her 1 year after her appearance. So for everyone here at Jeopardy Live Panel and the JeopardyFan.com, thank you guys for taking part, tuning in. Here is the credits card. The screen share on that is up. Awesome. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Nice
Have a great night.
Always a pleasure, Andy. Nice to meet you, Soumia.
Nice to meet you too, Tom.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.